Normally, I don't have a camera with me. I don't carry a camera with me all the time. Before, especially in the 90s, I didn't use cell phone really. So I didn't have a camera in my cell phone or anything like that. What I do normally is I kind of wake up in the morning and I think it's a good day for photography because the weather is nice or because I feel like going out to explore. Or when I am traveling in a new place, sometimes I carry my camera. So one of the rules I have in my photography interventions is that I don't carry nothing with me. I don't put any object foreigner to the situation. I don't add any object that is new in the situation, but I found a situation, and with the elements of the situation, I try to interact. So it's very important, the surprise aspect is very important, that is spontaneous, that happens in a kind of unexpected way. And that's why it's very random, the way that it can happen. But I try not to repeat myself, not try to always see what I can do with the situation. Sometimes it's very close to my house or in my city where I'm living. Sometimes it's in a travel, in a, when I'm a tourist. Sometimes it's while I'm working in something else, and then suddenly I see something in the space, and I take the photo when I do the intervention. That's why it's a very varied. Sometimes it's in a supermarket when I was shopping and I found these cat food and I put them on top of the watermelons. That was in New York. But the oranges in the market in Brazil, I was visiting that city for one day. And after the day, around 6 p.m., I saw this market empty with all the oranges in the floor because they were broken, discarded oranges in the floor, and I put them back to one on each table, and was an improvisation. So is the situation, the found situation in a specific time that makes the work, in my interaction with that moment, using the materials and the objects found on site. So for me it's very important that I don't carry with me anything, and that I use whatever is there. It's important to me in terms of public sculpture or public art. One of the subjects that has been important in my case is the human scale in relation with the environment and the landscape, and also the institutions, the big buildings, the big powerful structures of society, and then the human scale and the fragility of the individual, or the interaction of the individual in the big scale of society and urban life. So I think that is in New York. That piece obviously is New York, in the West Side Highway near the river. And I was doing bicycle there because I use my bicycle in New York all the time. And walking around and bicycling there, I found situations all the time. And this one was a particular one that after the rain, this puddle formation, and I saw the World Trade Center in the back, and then this puddle with debris, and I just ordered it like this, and then obviously making a kind of landscape into a landscape. The title is Island into an Island because the puddle makes also a kind of water formation around these wooden pieces, making a little island. And obviously the connection of fragility, institution, power structure, human scale, vulnerability, and changing and weather and all that connected with the structures of life and urban life, how they are eroded and constantly questioned by nature and by human sensibility, So that's a little bit. Photography is an instrument for me that records these interventions and interactions. I like more the word interaction than intervention, because it's not an intervention, it's interacting with the landscape and the environment in these specific moments. It's a dialogue, but it's a dialogue made in solitude, a kind of moment of intimacy in which the individual is alone in a big picture, in a big landscape, in an important city, or in a very crowded corner, in a very busy supermarket. But there is always individual and intimacy in some moments. And that's why I cannot work with anybody else. I am normally alone, and my camera is a small camera in my pocket. I don't carry a big camera, and it's a very intimate moment. I don't have production. I don't have a video person next to me taking a video of me doing something. I'm not making a movie. I am living my life, and in my life, these things happen, and I take my photo like any other people will do with a small camera. The body in action and the self, as a self that is the center of action of things. So you have this individual interacting with reality. So I start from that. I start from the kind of awareness of the self in a specific situation, in dialogue with another culture, with a specific object that always it belongs to political sphere and to a social instrument. So the car is one of the first big pieces in a way, but the gesture is a very surgical, simple gesture of cutting the car but assembling it again. And it looks like it was easy to make somehow, but then you compress the memory of the object. You are exaggerating some of the qualities of the design that is also very specific: organicity, modernity, utopical object of French European culture in the 50s and 60s. So all these elements that the car symbolizes, when they are cut like this, is a kind of implosion into itself. And then also the connection with the body and the memory of the body in interaction with the car plays a role in the perception of this new configuration of the car. So I think it's cutting the memory also, it's cutting and reassembling memory, it's cutting and reassembling a sense of perspective, space, speed, movement, proportions, dynamics, and even talking about perspective in a sculpture is something strange, because perspective is connected normally with painting and bidimensional work, but this is generating an illusion of perspective in a tridimensional work. So I think this cutting and reassembling has been, in a way, touches many layers of perception, not just physical or geometrical, but also historical, cultural, and organic. Is connected with an idea of natural motion, the motion of things, mechanically the nature, how things are moving constantly, growing and displacing and in constant transformation. So I think that the machines like an elevator or a car or a shoebox or any of the objects I use, it has to do with this idea of perpetual motion and the body in interaction with all the elements. The idea is a proposal for a new instrument that can be used in a different way, but it comes from a specific machine or object that has functionality. So when I re-systematize the structure or the rules of some of the instruments in my work, when for example, I make variations from the billiard table or the ping pong table, what I'm trying to do is to opening new spaces and changing the perception of time in the game or in a machine like the car. So they still work, but in a different time frame with a different set of system of behavior of the object in relation with the body. So the ping pong table is used by the body, and we know how to play ping pong, but in this case, because the space is a void in between the four tables, it's not a net, it's not a line, but it is a tridimensional space in between. In this case, I fill it with water, and I put water lilies because the idea of the fountain or the lotus flower or the pond as a center of action, interaction, and as a situation of a beginning of something, it was interesting to me. So when you play ping pong in the ping pong table with four people, you have to play it slower, you have to play it differently, because the spaces are different, but it works, and still is a game, and still you can play ping pong somehow, but the time and the frame and the system is different. So I am interested in sports and games and instruments. I'm interested in sports and instruments because games, sports, instruments, because they have this functionality and they represent the space and the landscape of different cultures. So I think that chess, like when I work with a chess game using just knights and horses, because I'm interested in chess, it represents the perception of a specific culture, how they see landscape, social interaction, war, society. In every board game, in every sport, is represented the vision of the world of that culture. And when you transform that a little bit, or when you get in a dialogue and you can reframe or remake or change those type of instruments, you are in dialogue with culture, with specific moments of thinking, geometry, perception of nature, space and time. And that's why they can be interesting and expressive to people to think in a different way. Any message, not in my work. Don't come to the show, I don't have any message for you. I forgot my message in Mexico. Thank you.